I think there's a lot of value in that content-driven marketing, right? I mean, what that value add that you're providing. I mean, take EZAutomation, for example. We'd be interested in, doing something together like that even. But, content-driven, I mean, that's what, everybody can advertise their products. I have this, I have X, I have Y, I have, this price and this. What people want to see, what we talked about, case studies, application notes, the content, how, what distinguishes your product with someone else and how is it utilized, right? And what are the advantages of it?
So we're here with Vikram Kumar from EZAutomation and AVG. This is Intellicast number 8. We're at our corporate offices here in Dallas. So as a lot of people have been pointing out, we have been shooting a lot of content lately. Yes, we have. It's Automation Month. We're midway through the month of May right now. It's taken us a long time to put together this meeting. Some housekeeping. We did have lunch with Vikram before. We asked a lot of questions during lunch, so I hope that we remember to ask all the really good questions again. But anyway, Vikram, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who EZAutomation is?
Well, first off, thank you for having me here, Walker and Zach. Really appreciate it. It's good to come down to Dallas and see your operations, and very excited to be here. A little bit about EZAutomation and our parent company, AVG Group. So the AVG Group is a mini conglomerate of many different electronic organizations operating worldwide, about 1,000 employees. We're into industrial automation equipment, like PLCs, HMIs, timers, counters, marquee message displays. We're into printed circuit boards. We're into semiconductors, medical devices, and then we have a different financial services division of AVG Group as well, into hedge funds and immigration law. But today we're here to talk about EZAutomation, which is a subdivision of AVG Automation, and in particular about the IoT and IIoT space. EZAutomation has been around since predominantly famous for the EZTouch HMI products. Been around since 1999, and have been expanding for over the years. So,
you guys, so the EZAutomation proper, that is the manufacturer of the EasyRack PLC, which is what we at Intellic use, and 4.0 Solutions sponsors as a best-in-class product, right? We believe that your solution's best-in-class for IIoT edge applications. It's marketed as a PLC, but for us, we see it as a whole other set of applications, not just programmable logic control. Okay, but EZAutomation proper is based here in the States, right? You guys are in.
So we're headquartered in Bettendorf, Iowa.
Okay.
It's actually shares the same office with our sister company Uticor. So when you talk about PLCs, our history goes way back to 1968. When we first invented the PCC, that was the process control computer for welding controls and for the automotives for Ford and Chrysler and GM predominantly. That's when we coined the term PCC, which later turned into PLC through a company called Struthers-Dunn. For all those that are familiar with Struthers-Dunn relays.
Right, yep.
And so Struthers-Dunn relays became Uticor, and Uticor and EZAutomation now share the same office. And actually some of the core designers and engineers back in the initial PLC stages still exist at the EZAutomation HQ offices as well. But yeah, we've kind of expanded from just being a PLC device to an edge of network, edge gateway device, having Ethernet IP and Modbus TCP IP and various protocols out there to basically capture, not just a PLC standalone control device, but a full-blown IIoT enabled, on the cloud type, in the network type of device out there.
So, but AVG is a global company, right?
That's correct.
So AVG's global, EZAutomation's based in Iowa. That's primarily the company that we're interacting with.
Correct.
When you go to your website, when you go to EZAutomation's website, one of the first things you notice is you guys sell a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of products that you guys sell.
And we manufacture all of them. So we're not a distributor at all. One thing we pride ourselves is we're 100% made in the United States for EZAutomation products. And each of the products are manufactured by ourselves in our Bettendorf, Iowa or Carroll Stream facilities. But they're all our own products.
So that explains. So you're going direct to market, which explains why your costs are so competitive.
Yeah,
one of the things.
There's two reasons. Yeah, there's two primary reasons why our costs are so competitive. One is we're a very vertically integrated organization. So, a lot of the semiconductors that go into the PLCs, simple 74HCL series logic gate type of components, that's actually manufactured by AVG Semiconductor division. Our printed circuit boards, that's manufactured by our AVG Victron division. So a lot of the internal guts of the products are actually manufactured by various AVG divisions. So we have, the flexibility, and there's no markups and margins from other types of organizations. So that allows us to, A, keep the costs low, and B, a lot of it's lights out manufacturing. So, we're an automation company, so we've, we use very high-end technology, surface mount type of equipment to allow high-end BGAs and fast processing, so it's, much faster, and we're whipping out tens of thousands of these a month of such type products from the EZAutomation factory through that lights out manufacturing process.
Wow, man, that's I didn't know that part at all. So the EZRack, one of the things that you'll notice, like I get these emails from you guys, the EZRack starter kit, which we bought several of them. I only recently found out we're only supposed to buy it one time, but so they do this EZRack starter kit, I think for $279, right?
Yeah, it's like under $300.
It's so crazy. You get a power supply plus the EZRack PLC for $279. All comes in one box, and every time I get the email, I email someone in the team. I'm like, hey, make sure you guys buy us another one. And then I found out that it's like a promotional, but even so, the list price on the EZRack is
it's $269. I mean, you can with a full
power
CPU.
supply is $50.
Yeah, power supply is $50, and everything that we do at AVG and what we pride ourselves on is innovation by design. So everything that you see from us is not a Me Too type product. So you look at our power supply. Has a 3-digit display for your output voltage readout, 2-digit display for your load current, so no having to hook up an ammeter circuit. Maintenance timer alert on a power supply, based upon the electrolytic cap, being able to monitor how long the power supply lasts. Same thing with the PLC. First PLC to introduce IIoT and Spark Plug B.
Yep.
So everything, the reason, we want to be, and we are, the innovators out there, and, the first company to do a lot of things. And because of that, we actually get a lot of control engineering awards each year consistently for best PLC, best HMI, most unique power supply out there.
So we use your power supply actually in a lot of our applications, not just in the applications where we're using your PLCs, but we use your power supply as our go-to power supply. But what I want to do is talk a little bit about how you and I met. So we met a couple of years ago at ICC, either 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember.
I think 2 years.
But which was the first time that you, I think, was at the show, right?
Yeah.
And we got talking about Arlen Nipper and Sparkplug B, and after that show, you and I talked a couple of times. We got on a conference call with Arlen, and you just basically jumped on the bandwagon and said, "Hey, we'll go ahead and we'll support Sparkplug B and MQTT." You already supported MQTT on the PLC, or did you add it?
So initially, a couple months prior to that show, I had met Kevin McCluskey from Inductive Automation at an Automation World Fair, and he's like, "Oh, what do you guys have?" And he was not so familiar with EZAutomation, and we kind of talked about it, and then he introduced me to Arlen. And that's where I learned all about MQTT and the IIoT space. I've always heard it as a buzzword, but, the intricacies, the details of it. I said, this is really cool stuff, I think we want to be the first. We want to get involved in it. And so that's when we just started developing MQTT, literally 2-3 months prior to the ICC conference. And then we whipped out the whole Sparkplug B, couple months thereafter.
So one of the things we were talking about was, which is part of the reason. So one of the reasons that we work with your company, as opposed to working with other PLC manufacturers, is, at the end of the day, I mean, PLCs are PLCs, right? It's logic controlled. The manufacturers are so close today. I mean, you can basically get everything from every manufacturer, right? So at the end of the day, when you decide a PLC manufacturer, you're picking the partner, the company behind that hardware over the hardware itself, right?
Sure.
And so for us, clearly EZAutomation is incredibly agile. You guys can move at the speed of business. You can respond to market demands, whereas we've been appealing to other companies in the same way for a long time and just not receiving the same type of response. Although we did from Wago. Wago responded. I want to give credit where credit's due, but there were companies that did respond, but Rockwell Automation, for example, did not. They didn't feel like they needed to, and
Sure.
and that's their loss at the end of the day. But the for you particularly, for you specifically, what was the appeal of IIoT and the opportunity to be the first manufacturer to adopt SparkPlug-B natively in your PLCs so you can publish all your tags into an MQTT broker over SparkPlug-B? What was the appeal for
Sure.
you? And why did you jump on that so quickly?
There's two sides to that. One is just the overall concept of what IIoT is going to bring to the manufacturing process in U.S. manufacturers and global manufacturers, to streamline it to what you're talking about, the whole Industry 4.0 solution. It's the better, more efficient solution for manufacturers to produce product more efficiently, cut costs, and improve their overall plant productivity. So that was just the main concept of why we wanted to get into this IIoT space. There's also the business side of things as well. I really like what inductive automation is doing. They're very innovative. They, very similar to our type of organization. They're kind of, they're not, they're going against Rockwell and your factory studios and all that, but they're beating they're disrupting the market, right?
No doubt about it. Yeah.
And so really like their core integrator group and kind of that society that they've built. And so we, as a predominantly an HMI manufacturer initially, getting into this PLC space, though we have niche applications and PLCs throughout the world, this is a business opportunity to say, hey, yes, there's everybody and their brother makes PLCs. How do we distinguish ourselves outside of your norm of Rockwell and Siemens? Let's be the first to do something which is better for the manufacturing process, but also just as a whole for the industry.
How many units do you move a year of the EasyRack?
Of the EasyRack? So this is a relatively new product. So, it's roughly 1,000 or a couple thousand a month, if that. So it's not very large volumes yet.
Right. But still, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
1,000 isn't being
Right.
produced in somebody's garage or
No.
so
Right. So the Easy PLC line.
Easy Touch is still your
So we have the Easy Touch line. We have the Easy PLC line, which is our first PLC that came out in 2004, 2005. That's where the volumes are much about 10,000 plus per month of the Easy PLC line. The Easy Rack just being introduced a couple of years ago, about what was it now? Maybe 2-3 years now, or 2 years. Is starting to get traction as well.
What's the fundamental difference between the Easy PLC and the Easy
Rack?
Yep.
Easy PLC's extremely low cost in comparison to the Easy Rack PLC. Very, it's not an edge gateway device. It's not an edge of network. Does not have IIoT. Does not have all the software capabilities Easy Rack has. It's meant for very, very simple, easy PLC, easy type control applications. Very, very, small package form factor. I mean, literally in a 1-inch by 1-inch module, you could fit 4 analog in, 4 analog out, or 8 digital in for like $22.
Okay.
Right. So it's a kind of a niche type of, crazy applications like underwater dog treadmill training. People utilizing those PLCs for very specific small type applications, just higher volume.
So one of the reasons that So one of the reasons we have some general rules for when we're deciding whether or not we're going to work with companies or not, or whether they're cutting edge or not, is that you have to be able to download software without ever having to talk to somebody, right? So your software is available for download for the EZRack PLC right on your website.
Yep.
How do you afford to give the software away? That's the first question I have, because developing software is expensive. Other companies, Rockwell Automation, Siemens, they charge a lot of. I mean, Siemens doesn't charge nearly as much as Rockwell does, but I mean, Rockwell charges just an absolutely absurd amount of money for their software. How do you get away with giving the software away? Number one.
I mean, so we're a hardware-based organization. We justify the development costs of software by mass volume, production of hardware, and that we sell. I mean, we have 50,000 customers around the United States alone utilizing various EZAutomation products. So it's large volume. It's very cost-effective, a very inexpensive product. But it's just large volume out there, and it's the exposure out there. And we know the pain, the headaches of Rockwell and Siemens and some of the other players out there, where people have to get annual maintenance contracts, and just to get, you need a dongle or you need a software license key just to turn on your, damn PC, right? And to hook it up. So being able, the reason why we've attracted so many people is, you can go on our website, prices are right there. Download the software, simulate your project.
You can order everything on the website.
You can order everything on the website.
You don't have to talk to anybody. You can place your order on the website. Yeah, it's
crazy.
The
majority of our business is like that too. I mean, more than 60% of our business, people just randomly come online, whether they've seen us through an ad or Google or just searching PLCs or HMIs. They come in, place an order, do crazy applications, and away they go.
So one of the things that really stood out for me is, honestly, before 2 years ago, I didn't know. I knew who EZAutomation was. I knew the EZTouch.
Yeah.
And I knew of the company EZAutomation. I didn't know anything about EZRack because it was obviously a new product. But after I tested it, I don't remember if you guys sent us a demo or if we just purchased it, but after I did a testing, the first thing I said was, where the hell have these guys been? Where'd you guys come from? And because I always, I feel like I'm pretty well connected in the community.
Yeah.
Do you find that that the community doesn't know EZAutomation's full capabilities, and if so, why? What's the problem there? What's the barrier?
So again, I think because the market is such that, in the U.S. market with controls, I mean, you have 57% of your controls market is controlled by Rockwell, right? Siemens is second after them, but globally Siemens is bigger. When you go out and market, you're a PLC manufacturer, people will just automatically put it aside. They won't even look at it. So, when you go out and market, our EZTouch or our HMI, people are a lot more. It's an open item, commodity type of item. People are more flexible on those type of products. So we do mass marketing on EZTouch and our HMI line. So that's much more well known. We have to discreetly get our PLCs in, or work, or not call it a PLC, for like Ford Motor Company, where we put these in, we call them health monitoring stations, right? They're utilizing the same EZRack equipment, but they're health monitoring stations, not PLCs. They actually use some of the PLC control for auxiliary type controls, but it's just the way you have to market, in our opinion, from going against the Rockwells and the Siemens and like
but
that.
the EZRack works as remote I/O for existing Rockwell controllers, right?
Yep.
And are they used a lot in those applications?
Yeah, very much so.
And
so saving on thousands of dollars of I/O modules, and you could just tie it directly as Ethernet IP module, as a remote I/O device. Tons of applications are out there like that.
So we actually just finished a project using your PLCs. We were talking about this earlier, but we were choosing between the Siemens S7-1200, and we selected the EZRack primarily because I wanted the IIoT support.
Yeah.
The S7-1200 didn't have it at the time, and it was an ignition application, so it was. We built all the panels. It was we were basically upgrading the controls on an existing 3 process line, right? So it was a year engagement, and I was actually surprised at how easy it was. I remember Matt, one of our engineers, is the one who wrote the PLC code. Never worked with EZAutomation before. Never worked with the software ever before.
Yeah.
And I was actually surprised how little I had to support him writing the code.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to need me a lot more, and he didn't, which told me that obviously the learning curve with your software is really, really short.
Yeah. Well, you probably hire very good engineers. Matt's a very good controls
Well, he's definitely he's definitely a smart guy. I mean, but even the smartest guy, the learning curves are long on most software platforms.
Yeah.
But again, what I walked from that project thinking, I just don't understand why I don't see more of these in the market. And so part of the reason we're doing this podcast is we want our community to know about the EZRack and EZAutomation from a philosophical standpoint. The company behind the hardware we believe in. You guys are agile, you're responsive to your needs. In fact, one of your technicians is here today. He was talking about in the latest release of the software, there are specific features that were requested by an install base in Brazil or something like that, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
You guys are clearly very responsive to the market. You're IIoT ready out of the box. You support regular MQTT and SparkPlug-B MQTT payloads. You now have the Ethernet scanner, right?
Yep. So Ethernet IP scanner as well as adapter.
Yep. And so what are what's coming down the pike for the EZRack specifically, and then you guys have an industrial PC, right?
Correct.
For edge computing.
Yep. It's an ignition on board certified product as well. A lot is coming on for EZRack. I mean, the way we get new features out there and the way we add it, I love to travel personally, and my sales group and the engineering group travels around the country. We talk to applications and engineers throughout the country and say, hey, what is it that you're lacking in a PLC, or what is it that you're lacking in a device? And so that's where we come out with all different types of capabilities, whether they be like on our HMI statistical process control data graphs or 3D, type objects people are requesting, or on PLCs, more advanced PID, control loops. Mm-hmm. So we'll kind of come out with new features as and when customer base says, this is a pain point. I wish I could do this with the device. And that's how we're known as a fast-moving, cheetah-like response. Though we're relatively sizable from our overall group, we act as a small company to meet customer demands and needs out there for customized applications and support those type of groups. So there's a ton of new products coming out. In fact, this month itself, we're launching 15 new products. So it's been very busy in our engineering group. And then, on the panel PCs, we are Ignition on board certified. And, again, just...
So are those PCs do they come fully integrated with touch displays, or do you have a combination of both? Just edge PC?
Well, so we the ones that are Ignition on board, so we manufacture standalone PCs. These are all from our Uticore division, and then we offer the touch panel PCs. So these are the ones that are Ignition on board, are fully integrated, Ignition loaded onto it, touch panel, industrial PCs, from anywhere from simplified applications needing less processing speed from i3 processors to more advanced i7.
And what's the price point? What's the range on your price point for your industrial PCs?
Yeah, so they range. They're about about $1,500 to about $2,500, $3,000 on depending on size that you go through.
Okay.
But they're they may not be the most competitive, like as compared to the EZRack, but they're kind of the fully loaded IP67 Class 1 Div 2 stainless steel bezels. They're Uticore is meant for the Uticore tough and rugged type
so
applications.
You're talking these are the higher end applications.
These are the higher end
edge applications, right?
A lot of food industry utilizes them because the stainless steel requirements. A lot of automotive, but higher end applications are the panel PCs.
Any other products that you would say fit within your overall IIoT strategy that you want to talk about? Yeah,
so we'll soon incorporate the SparkPlug-B on two of our other products, our HMIs, because I think that's one, it's a fast mover, and B, I think a lot of there's not very many HMI companies that have the SparkPlug-B protocol and just MQTT on it. So we'll be doing that on our HMIs as well as our marquee message displays. Right, I mean, a lot of like you take it Ford, for example, they have their FIS system, or various plants want to monitor the data. So what's IIoT all about? recording the data, putting it on the cloud. I mean, we talk about machine learning, improving efficiency. Part of that is also displaying that within the factory.
Right.
Now, if we integrate that all through the system, so if Ignition could just read all the tags from, we have a smart marquee that can just read all the tags from Allen Bradley control logics. You literally, you don't have to do any ladder logic to put the message in. It's all programmed in our marquee. Now, if you can integrate that into Sparkplug and to the Ignition platform, it just makes, plant efficiency and monitoring that much easier.
So will the HMI be publishing over Sparkplug B to the Ignition broker?
Yeah, just like our EZAutomation does.
And will it contain system information about the HMI, things like serial number and all that kind of stuff? Diagnostics of the HMI itself. Same.
Yep.
And then on the smart marquee is also going to support Sparkplug B.
Correct.
And will it be able to? It'll be able to consume the messages from Ignition? Is that the idea?
Yep.
Okay, got it. Understood.
Yep.
Wow, that's slick, man. I'll tell you this. One of the things that I think most manufacturers are missing out on with IIoT, most OEM, MQTT is the perfect protocol to publish system information about your hardware over.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of context in hardware that I wish manufacturers made available. We talk about this in all videos all the time.
Yeah.
Relative humidity inside the unit. When was the last time the unit was powered back up or powered down?
Yeah.
What was the last fault? Internal fault code.
Yeah.
What's the serial number, model number? All those things that are. It's important contextual information for your hardware that in the old days was never published over the network because the value didn't outweigh the cost, the expense in the but MQTT makes it so easy. And you look at a lot of manufacturers who are leveraging MQTT and they're not publishing that information. They're allowing you to send messages over MQTT, but they're not sending pertinent information about their hardware using the protocol. So that's slick that you're doing that, man. Awesome. There was a couple other things that we talked about earlier. I want to make sure we touch on. Have I missed anything that we talked about earlier? Anything that's off the top of your head? Are you falling asleep?
No. I'm thinking about
Zach was on a red eye last night from LA, so he's like
Easy Touch, the Sparkplug B.
Yep.
EZAutomation. So in a couple of weeks, we're meeting with Inductive Automation. So Vikram and I are going to go meet with IA out in Folsom, and we're doing like a lunch and learn.
Yeah, lunch and learn with all the sales engineers and kind of associates and kind of.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, wouldn't that be slick? I know the reason I'm there. The reason I'm going there is to talk about application because we've done applications with the EZRack, and so. But you guys will be doing
you're hosting.
Yeah, so we're hosting it. We want to further educate the Salesforce. I'm okay with it. I guess let me run it by Don and see if he's cool with it. But I'm okay with it. I think it's good.
I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I think it'd be awesome.
Great marketing for
I think it's great for all of us.
Kevin Travis is going to
Kevin
be in
will be there.
Sales
Travis will be there.
Sales group's going to be in there.
The entire sales group. Yeah.
So we're going to basically. He's going to do a lunch and learn. I'm really just there to talk about the applications that we've used with the EZRack. So specifically centered around IIoT and
but the community I think would like the contextual information of the application.
Let me ask you this: what's been the biggest barrier to getting information out about the easy? I mean, like, why is it more people don't know about the EZRack product line and what you guys are specifically doing in IIoT?
Right.
What's been that barrier?
It's kind of like I mentioned while we were having lunch, is you market out a PLC in the United States, you don't get your return on investment unless you're Rockwell or Siemens, right? Because they control the market itself. So we don't really go out and push the EZRack out in the space. So it's really the recognition that EZAutomation does not have for its PLC lines.
Okay.
But you go out and once you go out and explain to the community that, hey, it's not only a PLC. Maybe if you don't want to mess around with your PLC, but you need an edge gateway device. You need an edge of network device. That's where people's ears start opening up and say, okay, well, and there's been debates. Maybe I don't even call it an EZRack PLC. Maybe I just call it an EZRack device.
Do you want to know one of the big things that we use the PLC for?
Yeah.
Is to do Lambda Lambda functions.
Yeah.
So we've bought, I don't know, probably a dozen of them altogether now, but most of those that we've bought, we haven't even used in projects. We're using them in our own products. So we're buying the EZRack PLC. We're not buying any I/O with it at all. All we're doing is we're doing post-processing of information and of data, and then publishing that data over Sparkplug-B back to an Ignition broker. And we're doing what we would normally do with like AWS Greengrass. We're doing that in an EZRack PLC. There's a whole host of functionalities or applications for the PLC that aren't programmable logic control.
Right. And it can, I mean, so that's, so again, how we market it is, one device, but, whether edge gateway or edge of network, but it is a full-blown PLC.
Right.
I mean, whether you want to do PID control, there's certain function blocks, advanced math capabilities, and again, it's one CPU. It's not like, you have, a micro logics to a compact logics to a control logics, and then you limit, the features per station. We embed everything into one CPU, into one software. I mean, it's a full-blown PLC.
It's kind of crazy because you can do Modbus master slave. You can do flat MQTT, Sparkplug-B, Ethernet IP scanning. You can. I mean, there's really no
DeviceNet, Profibus options.
It's for $200 and something, man. It's just it's kind of crazy, and that's the thing I keep saying over and over again is I just can't believe I don't see them everywhere, and it's clearly a crisis of communication. I think, right? It's just you don't
just
have
awareness.
Yeah, people just aren't aware in the market that
people are they're very aware of the Easy Touch.
Yeah.
Once they see that the EZRack can do in conjunction, not only as a standalone PLC, but in conjunction with their existing controllers that they may have in the plant. That's where the awareness expands, and then they say, wow, who would ever thought Ford Motor Company? I mean, they're strict Rockwell, old school. They wouldn't switch, but they're utilizing our EZRack devices.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they would never. Nobody would ever think of that, though.
That's right. It's true. So. It's true. Anything from you, Zachy?
We didn't talk about. You were on the podcast last year.
Yeah, at the ICC conference. That was a
good conference.
When Zach got arrested.
No. So you're going to be back there again this year?
Yep, most definitely. Yeah.
Who are some other software strategic partners that you guys are looking at working with, embedding their software on your product? You do the Ignition Edge on board.
Yep.
Is there any other softwares that you're looking at?
In particular, like integrators, or are you talking about softwares like integrating through?
Yeah. Putting their software on your hardware, so like maybe going straight to Amazon Web Services, for example. Or
We've already tested it.
Factory Studio.
Yep, Factory Studio.
So
what
Amazon
about Sorba Technologies? Like Sorba's AI platform would be a good one. Factory Studio on the Edge PC would be a good one. Yeah,
we haven't officially partnered up with any of these other organizations. I mean, but Ignition is kind of what started the whole idea, and give a lot of credit to Arlen Nipper and.
Arlen and I had. So I remember a couple of years ago, after the first conversation, Arlen called me, and it was just the two of us on the call, and he was very super excited. Primarily because he's like me. We Arlen and I, or I'm more like him. He and I both share the belief that in order for IIoT to truly take off in both greenfield and brownfield implementations, in greenfield it's really easy, right? I mean, because you can bake in IIoT ready into there's not an increased cost. The issue is brownfield. How do you integrate legacy systems into an IIoT infrastructure? And we believe that you have to do that by keeping the total cost per node on the edge to $800 or less. We believe that you're not going to integrate in all your lines into an IIoT infrastructure unless you're going to spend $800 or less turnkey. That's the number, right?
Yeah. We kind of thought about that as well, as to integrate, those older legacy networks. A lot of plants out there have DH plus Bluehost remote I/O, and we're now the only company left in the world that supports DH plus and remote I/O natively on our HMI. So one of our thought processes is, once we implement the Sparkplug-B protocol on our HMIs, making that as an edge gateway device through our HMI to be able to take the legacy equipment out there and that is on an older network and still be able to get into the cloud and still get into the IIoT field.
Yeah, because right now your options are with Data Highway Plus is you got to use like DH Plus Rio, right, in a Compact Logix or a Control Logix, which is expensive, really expensive. So you got to use DH Plus Rio to bring that DH Plus network all the way back to a gateway, and then you can convert it. All right, any other... why don't you take this chance to tell us what's going on with you? What do you have going on? You haven't talked a lot in this podcast at all, which is not... Yeah. What do you got going on with you?
Oh, man. I don't know. It's always good being out here in Dallas, like going to a 1 a.m. flight and red eye to Dallas and being happy about it. It's like makes me know that I'm happy and passionate about what I'm doing. The feedback from the community has been really large. The CSIA conference was excellent. The partnership, the sponsorship, and the marketing campaign, that kind of package that we did for TATSoft was really exciting. We got over 100 respondents for the survey, which is going to help them drive value, add features back to their platform, with that kind of agile, community-driven mindset, but also potentially maybe even some leads for them as well too. But more so that brand recognition, getting the name out there is where I see us really driving value in the market, because, I mean, there's people even today in 2019 that don't even know what Ignition is, right? So, they've never heard of platforms like Sorba, or maybe companies like EZAutomation, or maybe Flow Software, Factory Studio, TATSoft, all our other best-in-class products. So, that is really exciting. And, I hired my first editor. This is week number 2, and he's been doing really well. And that was like a big step outside of my comfort zone, because I kind of wanted to just kind of keep Zach Scriven Media small enough to where it was keeping me busy, but I didn't have so much, like I was kind of more so just doing the work and not managing people. But as I've grown, like our needs are getting bigger, and so I have to push aside my own fears and insecurities and then grow to service that industry, right? Because it's kind of our obligation now. It's our duty to show up for our community, industry 4.0, digital marketing, LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff. So I want to do another course here pretty soon, because the first course was really exciting. So I want to do maybe like LinkedIn for business, or like YouTube for business, kind of help package some of the information of what we've learned in the last year and give that as another resource out to other system integrators or manufacturers or whomever, and then potentially also grow our partners with the 4.0 Solutions Network.
Any travel plans? Any shows you got coming up?
No, it's been really light, man. It's really light. I want to do something with Mary just as a, like non-business thing. But gosh, what else? I know like ICC, like I think towards the fall it'll start picking back up, conference season again. But right now I really don't have anything on my radar. I might have to change my LinkedIn headline.
I actually thought of a couple of more questions that I can't believe I forgot. So number one, when people have heard of EZAutomation, so when I mention it, they'll say, aren't they like Automation Direct, or they always do an association between EZAutomation and Automation Direct.
Right.
So do you want to explain the
Sure.
what's the
we're two different companies, first off. So
yeah.
we used to be partners together, and it's public knowledge. So in the 90s, we were actually the direct manufacturing partner for their HMIs equipment out there. They're Chinese, owned by a Japanese Koyo organization, manufacture everything in China. They made a Chinese knockoff of our product. It was a very, very large lawsuit, one of the largest in the industry, over $200 million lawsuit, which we won on all 57 claims, and happy outcome in the end. So we parted ways after that, but it was a blessing in disguise, because it allowed EZAutomation to grow besides just being an HMI company. With the Easy Touch, it allowed us to get into integrated HMI PLCs and standalone PLCs and timers and proximity sensors and timer counters and power supplies and everything. So yeah, we are two completely different entities. Of course, we're 100% made in the U.S. And one thing that which we're very, very proud of. And of course, now, with this new tariffs coming in, 25% on, over $300 billion of products manufactured in China that are going to tariffed, we're expecting very good results against that as well.
And it's a testament to how innovative your manufacturing processes are, that you can manufacture in the U.S. and still, your prices beat a lot of what Automation Direct can provide. And they're doing it with much, much cheaper labor. So that's
China. Yeah.
What about how much time do you spend going to trade shows and expos and actually setting up a booth?
So
and
we used to do that quite a bit, but not as much anymore. I feel like first off, the EZTouch brand is out there and very well accepted. Most of our advertising is through, we were known as the innovators as Belly Band, the Belly Band organization.
Yep.
Now Inductive shares that space with us quite a bit, actually.
Belly Band?
Yeah. So the first thing before you open up a magazine, you have a belly band that wraps around it. We were the first one to design it. We should have patented or something through the magazines, but with control engineering and automation world and design world and control design, that's our main.
Yeah, last month's control engineering was the announcement for Ignition 8.
Yeah,
from Inductive
exactly.
Automation.
Belly band. So
that was the belly band.
So we share that now with Ignition on control engineering. But yeah, our go-to-market is
I'm much more of a fan of the hat sponsor spot, but
I dig that. I dig the hat, man. I like the whole hat concept. I think it's counterintuitive. You know what I mean? I don't think most people would think that it's, but I've seen its value, like close up. So it's we were talking about this earlier about how even marketing is changing, how it's we were talking
going very digital.
Yeah, everything's moving digital. Yep. Having authorities in the space advocating for we were talking about this
micro influencers.
Yeah, that it matters. When an OEM says, "Hey, here's the list of products I sell," and they're awesome, they're never going to tell you that they're not awesome.
Right.
You need independent authorities to tell you, "Oh, you know what? These actually do what they."
Right. Case studies, application notes, videos of running systems out. Yeah.
And that's why that type of marketing matters.
That's why we started 4.0.
That's where the whole idea, the whole concept was.
Yeah,
but it's
I'm gonna take part credit though.
It's amazing how many product companies have either reached out to me or I've reached out to and said, "Hey, I really want to test your product. I want to profile it." Tossibox, Factory Studio. There's 13 or 14 of them so far that we've tested their products, and I'd say half of them in my opinion, are best in class, and the other half just didn't make the cut. But the at the end of the day, what's ultimately going to delineate products in the market is it's less feature and functionality and more philosophy.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what's going to delineate in the market.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Values.
And it's values. It's the overall philosophy, the way that you go to market,
flexibility, adaptability.
Yeah. I'm all for people making money, but I also want people to be values based. I want them, when faced, I can make a good living here, and I can make a good living here maybe, but make a little bit more. But for me to make a little bit more, I've got to exploit my clients, or I've got to maybe tell a white lie or whatever. And I want to work with the people who choose to do the right thing.
I got a question.
Yeah. Ask the question, buddy.
So you talked about kind of the band around the magazine.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a way that we can. So part of what Zach's Driven Media is doing with 4.0 solutions and Intellic, kind of my two primary clients, is building out an advertising network where we can partner with brands like Flow, like Tatsoft, and do these campaigns. But without change. So imagine if our content was like the magazine.
Yeah.
You can like get working with a sponsor or an advertiser to wrap around the magazine, but without changing the content in the magazine, because Walker's biggest thing is maintaining his own independence, own authority.
Yeah.
But we're building out this really powerful audience and network and advertising consortium almost.
Right.
How, like, you know, the hat was one thing that we did, the sponsored videos.
Yep.
Like how could we continue to build that out, but without having it be losing its independence?
Core values,
right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, from your perspective, that's a really good question. From your perspective, what is the best approach? You know, because I don't ever get paid for
All
anything.
that money essentially goes to more production.
Right.
Right.
It's essentially my revenue stream.
That's right. Zach is, you know, the sponsorships are what makes it so that we can create the content so that we can continue. But I never get a penny of it because I have to maintain my independence and my
opinion on
right. And so what we want to do is build up a much larger.
I mean, I think there's a lot of value in that content-driven marketing, right? I mean, what that value add that you're providing. I mean, you know, take EZAutomation for example. We'd be interested in, you know, doing something together like that even. Okay. But you know, content-driven. I mean, that's what. You know, everybody can advertise their products. I have this, I have X, I have Y, I have, you know, this price and this. What people want to see, what we talked about, case studies, application notes, you know, the content, how, you know, what distinguishes your product with someone else and how is it utilized, right? Okay. And what are the advantages of it? Not a salesman just trying to push down, you know, product down someone's throat. Is how is it bettering your, you know, productivity? How is it bettering your machine? And that content is a lot of value, in my opinion.
I had an idea that we should do it.
I had an idea that we could do like, you know, an Easy Rack versus, you know, Groove Epic, like pit them against, even though they're not really apples to apples, just kind of what can you do with this one for this price versus this one for that price? Because people are going to ask that question.
Yeah. Because that's exactly the point, right? So with the Easy Rack is let's say the $500 price point, right? The Groove Epic is the $2,000 price point, and then you've got the Bedrock, and you still have the OSA remote from Bedrock, right, at the $2,000, and then you've got the Bedrock Core platform at $10,000, right? Yeah. And what the community wants to know is, when do I choose you know, if we say these are what you need to do at best in class for IIoT, the question that needs to be asked is, when do I select the $500 one? Yeah. When do I select the $2,000 one? And ultimately, you know, but you really have to have the support of the manufacturers to do that. The last thing in the world you want to do is have, you know, pit against you want them to be on board to say that there's value in the market doing that. Yeah. You know,
I'd be totally for that. Obviously, we obviously discussed with the other manufacturers as well.
I think 22 would be open for it.
Yeah, Benson would definitely go for it for sure.
One of the things that you mentioned challenges, right? And with the Easy Rack, I mean, you just kind of pointed it there. You know, you got a $500 solution, you got a $2,000 solution, you got a more expensive. People automatically assume because you have a low price tag that your product is cheap or crap. But, you know, that's why we use the word inexpensive always. Yeah. But so that's kind of, you know, as a marketing decision, you know, I mean, we could charge $500 for these. We could charge $1,000 for these because it, you know, but that's been one of our challenges too, is that just automatically people look at the price tag and they're worried, hey, is this thing, exactly.
Which is exactly, by the way, what Tatsoff said.
Exactly.
It's literally what Tatsoff is lowest and
the same thing rings true for my course.
Yep.
This is not a plug. But if I charged more for it, people would value the information more. They might spend more time going through the modules.
Yeah. But my opinion is, and my overall opinion is that the price of the Easy Rack is closer to where the price should be for 90% of all the IIoT applications out there. There are going to be unique IIoT applications where the hardware is going to be, I mean, you think about it. The average PLC you purchase has 10 times more horsepower than you need, right? It's a simple reality, right? Especially if you're going into the compact logics and control logics lines. Most people don't know that they're buying Ferraris and what they're doing is riding a tricycle to the end of the driveway.
Right.
I mean, that's and they're wasting their money on those solutions, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, I believe your price. Well, I do believe you're way less expensive than you need to be. The reality is that the fact that your software is free, it's intuitive, it's easy to use, and then when you look at the full breadth of the solutions available in the EZRack, and then we've tested it in the field, we have production implementations, and we know that they're reliable, and we know that they pass the test. Then to me, I think they're underpriced.
Yeah.
But I think that low price is a huge advantage to the market because there's a whole host of implementations we have to do out there that are going to require that $800 or less.
And that's
turnkey
one of the
price
reasons
point.
why we priced the EZRack at its point. Because one thing is, EZAutomation is known as a low-cost automation, provider, and price is a big component. The reason why we priced it, we could have priced the EZRack a little bit higher, but the reason why we did this is because people sometimes think, IIoT, getting all the data in the cloud, doing that, it's such an expensive solution that, do I really want to invest the money to do that? It's really not.
Right.
You don't, and that was one of the main motivations too is, hey, you can get the benefit of increasing your productivity, getting into the IIoT space, doing the whole Industry 4.0 solution at an affordable cost, and you can do that. That was one of the deciding factors that, when I made, okay, well, let's price it at this point as opposed to, double the cost or something like that.
So if people want to reach out to you for, to find out more about EZAutomation, the EZRack, your IPCs, your whole IIoT initiative, EZAutomation.net.
Yep, EZAutomation.net. E and then the letter Z, automation.net.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And we highly recommend you check out EZAutomation.
It is the best in class.
There's certainly a best in class for edge applications and Sparkplug B out of the box. In fact, it's still your best bet for Sparkplug B on the edge in terms of PLC and those applications. There isn't a better solution out there yet. So highly recommend that you guys check out their solutions. I think you'll be overwhelmed with how easy it is to work with the company, and you'll be really impressed with the technology. Vikram, thanks for joining us, man. We finally made it happen. I'm really excited. Zach,
thanks
for catching the red eye. He's falling asleep over here during the
I'm ready to go.
And
The whiteboard.
anyway, we'll catch you guys in the next podcast.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome, man.
Sweet. Thanks.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.